So we're going to start the partial neck motif 1 for the left shoulder, and we're going to start off with a chain 6. And join to form a ring. Join with a slip stitch, then we're going to chain 2, and then you're going to make 11 half double crochet into that ring. And as mentioned in the pattern, I'm doing this in a different colour to the main body of the top, purely for the instructions, just so that you can see more clearly what's going on. So I'm just going to double check. So we're aiming for 12 stitches, so that's your chain 2 and then 11 half double. Now we're going to chain 14. We're going to attach to the double crochet on this shoulder motif. So as it's facing you, it's a first double crochet, but if you're talking in regards to how this piece was crocheted up, it's the third. So first, second, third. So I'm going to do a drop loop join here. So I'm going to take the loop off the hook, going into this third double crochet, putting the loop back on, putting that through. Now I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So I'm counting as 1 just under there, 1, 2, 3, 4, going through both loops on my chain, through the front of the chain like that. And I'm going to make a double crochet. I'm going to drop my loop and put it through the next crochet stitch, double crochet stitch on the shoulder motif, and I'm going to make a double crochet into the next chain along, drop the loop again and attach into the 3rd double crochet. So I've actually used part of this chain as the first stitch of this joining section. Now I'm going to chain 6, and next I'm going to put 2 double crochet into each of my half doubles. So at this point I just got to be a bit careful because I'm working into the back of this motif, so it looks a bit different. You just got to be careful with a half double that you don't accidentally catch the 2 wrong bits. Remember, tilt the work towards you slightly to see the tops of the stitches properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots. Then I'm going to do a join into this corner of the top. Then chain 1, find the slip stitch join from the previous motifs, pull a loop through, chain 1, and finish the other side of this by skipping 1 half double and then putting 2 half doubles into each of the next stitches. Do 5 sets of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be looking like this. Now I'm going to do another chain 6. And I'm going to slip stitch into the next set of double crochets on the next motif round on the neck piece. So you're going to have to slip stitch pretty loosely here. So consciously do it a bit looser than you normally would, obviously not massively baggy. Like that. And this side I'm going to do some tapering stitches rather than just what equates to 3 double crochet. So I'm actually going to chain 1 and then I'm going to single crochet in this first stitch. So if you notice, I'm going through the middle of the slip stitch and then through both bits of the actual stitch underneath. The next stitch is a half double, and again I'm going through the middle of my slip stitch and through both parts of the double crochet, and then the next one is a double crochet the same way through there. This one's a bit trickier because it's the first one. So you can see you get quite a nice little taper, whereas this one is equivalent to 3 double crochets on the actual shoulder. Because this is dipping down to either the front or the back of the neck, we're just putting a little taper in there. And now we're going to chain 8. I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first half double of round 1, which would have been the chain 2 representing a stitch. So we're going to slip stitch into there, which is always a little bit tricky. Then we're going to fasten that off. And just to say at this point, don't weave your ends in for these, because it's best to weave them in once you've put the final neck border on. Okay, so let's have a quick look at that. What that should look like. That should look like that. Now we're going to make partial neck motif number 2 to fill in this other corner, which kind of straddles the shoulder piece and either the front or the back. So we start off in the same way. With a chain 6. Join to form a ring. Chain 2, and then 11 half doubles in the ring. Got 12 half double crochets, and now I'm going to chain 11. Remove the loop from the hook. Go into this first double crochet of the adjoining motif to the front shoulder, at the front to the shoulder, pull that loop through, going to yarn over, I'm going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. Remove the loop. Put the hook in the next double crochet of this other motif, put the yarn back on, put it through, double crochet into the next chain, put this, take the loop off the hook, go into the next double crochet of the front neck edge, and now I'm going to chain 6, and you'll see that's made a nice tapered start to this partial section. And now I'm going to put 2 half doubles again into each of these half double stitches, just making sure I'm going in the right spot because I'm working into the back of the motif. Now I'm going to do another join into this corner down here, chain 1, find the slip stitch, go into it from the right, grab the yarn, pull it through, chain 1, and now 2 half doubles, skip 1 and then 2 half doubles into each of the next 5. Should look like that. Now I chain 6. Now I need to join onto here, so we're going to do something slightly unusual. We're going to take the loop off the hook, I'm going to go into that stitch, I'm going to pull the loop through, we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to find where would have been the top of the stitch. So I'm just actually going to go next to this proper stitch, because remember we incorporated some of this chain to act as a double. It's quite difficult to see what's going on here, so I'm just going to pick a spot that looks right, and then I'm going to chain 8, sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then slip stitch into the second chain of this starting chain of round 1, and then fasten off. Let's have a little look what it looks like. So we have those 2 sections, and next you're going to just turn the work round and repeat that exact same process on the other side. So I'll see you there in a minute. So this is what the whole thing should look like when you've done each of the partial neck shaping motifs, one in each corner. Now we're just going to put in the foundation row for the neck border. So we're basically just kind of leveling off these sections here. I'm going to start that by joining the yarn. Again, I'm just doing this bit in a different colour just so you can see what it looks like. We're going to start by joining this, joining the yarn in what would be the top of this first stitch. This is the chain that we used, so I'm just going to go roughly where it looks about right, I'm just going to leave a little tail at the back. I'm going to pull up a loop. That's how I'm going to join it. It doesn't seem very secure at the moment. We can sew that ending later. Just reduces the lumps and knots. Now I'm going to chain 9. And then I'm going to slip stitch in the 5th half double of this front neck motif that I'm already on. And then I'm going to chain 8. And again I'm going to join in the 5th one. Along here. Then I'm going to chain 9. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the first stitch of this partial neck motif section. And then I'm going to fasten off. So it'll look like this, and you can see that we've straightened off this front neck edge. Then you're going to do the same for the other side. So this is what it looks like when you've finished your partial motifs for rounding off the corners, and you've also put in the foundation row for the neck border. And remember, on the last section of doing the foundation row for the neck border, don't fasten off your yarn, because you're going to jump straight into doing the neck border. So this round is pretty easy. We're just going to be single crocheting. So start off with a chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet into every stitch that I come across, and that includes the chain. So we're actually going to go into the chain, into each chain. We're not going to go around the chain. We're going to go into each chain. It's just much neater. Otherwise, all the stitches slide along, which can be okay sometimes. But for this, the neck is, you know, it's a very visible and piece that your eyes are drawn to. So we want it to be looking really good. So it can be a bit of a pain, but it's well worth doing this part, taking the time to crochet into each chain. We're going to go along, keep going, and then when we come to these partial motifs, I'm going to put two single crochet into along the edge, which in this case was a chain. So go into the chain, don't go around it, that leaves a bit of a hole. Literally just stab your hook into the chain, and should hopefully pick up a couple of loops of that chain. When you come to this chain 6 hole that you made, you're going to do 2 half doubles into there, just because it's a bit of a jump. If you put in a single, it leaves a little dip. So we're going to put 2 half doubles into there, back into this edge of a double crochet section. You're going to put 2 single crochets in there. Oops. Again, I'm trying to not crocheting round, I'm trying to get sort of into the half double. 1, 2. Now we're back to the chains. So some of these chains may be presenting themselves to you in different ways. Some will have the back ridge popping up like this, and then again, then here where we get to another section, the front of the chain is facing up. So whichever way the chain presents itself, that's how you're going to crochet into it. So here it's bump up, so back ridge up, so that's what I'm going to crochet into. It's just, it keeps, if you try and force the work into the twist the chain round and work into the other side that's not facing upwards, it's going to just make it twist and look a bit of a mess. So it can be a bit of a nuisance, especially if you've made your chains very tight, which hopefully you haven't. But as I said before, it's definitely worth the extra time just to put one, work it into the actual chains. So keep going, and again, every time you come to one of these 3 double crochet sections, you're just going to put one stitch in each, one single crochet in each. And like here where there's where it connects to the other motif, you're not really sure what's going on, you just take a best guess and see what it looks like, basically. Does that look okay? Not too bad. Carry on. So do that all the way around. One single crochet into each chain. Remember, work into the chain as it presents itself, and then when you come to a half double crochet, you're going to put 2 stitches into the edge of each half double, and then when you come to the chain 6 ring of the partial motif, you're going to put 2 half doubles into each one of those, and you're just going to work your way all the way around till you get to the other side. So I'll see you there. So I'm just coming up to the end of round 1 of the neck border, which I'm going to finish off with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of the round. The next round is also single crochet, but there's going to be some decreasing. So it's going to be 6 single crochets and 1 decrease. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet in the same spot, and then do another 5, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease. So we're going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up another loop, and you're going to yarn over and draw off all 3, decrease made. And you're going to carry on like that, 6 single crochets, 1 decrease, all the way around to the other end. So as we come to the end of row 2, don't worry if you haven't quite got enough stitches to fit in a full repeat at the end, i.e. 6 single crochet and 1 decrease. As you can see here, I've got a couple of stitches left over. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't have to be a specific number of stitches at the end. This is merely a decrease row to get the shaping and some firm structure into the neck. So I'm going to slip stitch into first stitch of round 1 of the neck shaping, and then this final round is just going to be slip stitching. So we are just going to slip stitch into the back loop only of every single stitch, every single crochet in the previous round. It's going to slip stitch through the back loop. And coming up to the end of this final round for the neck. And for this round you can either join again with a slip stitch into the first slip stitch, which is a bit tight, and cut the yarn and fasten off, or if you prefer, go and do a sewn bind off for this side, which I think is what I'm actually going to do. So instead of doing a slip stitch join, I'm going to cut the yarn and I'm going to pull the live loop all the way out. I'm going to get a needle, I'm going to go through both loops of where I want to join, and then back down through the same spot that yarn's coming out of, through to the back, catch it in some of those nice dense back stitches, and then embed it in that one of those single crochet rows. Go along a couple of stitches, catch a leg, back the other way, cut that off. Now you may want to block your work before you sew in the ends, because sometimes washing and blocking can loosen stuff up, but it's up to you, it's personal preference what you want to do. So now you should have a nice neck edge. I've still got quite a few ends to sew in, but I'm actually going to sew these ends into these nice tight single crochet rows because they're much easier to hide in there. So